Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to the Velocity 360 tutorial on creating a podcast app that will stream a podcast on a web app using the iTunes search directory for podcasts. So that'll be helpful for getting some data. Now you're looking at this page right here because this is the theme that I'm using for this tutorial. So if you want, you can buy it right now on this URL. This right here. I think it was like $18 or 20 bucks, something like that. And here's how it looks on the demo that I put together last night. So this is the theme. So we are going to be using this. If you're a member on my website, you can just download this off the project page. But if you don't want to sign up on my website, you can still get the theme here. Just be aware. I think it's $18. So we will be using this, and you will need this to follow. I think by video 3. That sounds about right. Okay, so let's get started on that. So again, it's going to look like this. Where when you load the page, these are going to be different podcasts. When you click on one, if I click on this, it's going to load the track list of that podcast, and then you can press play and you can listen to that station. So pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Nothing too crazy, and yeah, that's it. So let's get started. So CD to your workspace area, and let's create a new Express application using the Express generator. Let's call it pods, and using the Hogan templating engine, CD into the pods directory and run the install. Okay, same old start process, nothing new there. Oh, I should point out before I continue, my tutorials are going to get more and more sophisticated as time goes on. I'm basically building up sort of a bank of tutorials that you can work off of. So this tutorial isn't going to be totally beginner. So if you want to follow along, I have some expectations in terms of what you should already know, most notably how to set up a basic Express application with a simple API, and how to set up a React application with a Redux architecture. So with that being said, the tutorial that we're watching right now basically has some prerequisites. You should be able to do this one right here. This is just for the Node Express knowledge, how to set up a basic Express application. And you should also be able to do this one right here, which is a purely React Redux front-end project. And if you want to get both of those concepts, Node Express and React Redux in one tutorial, you can do that in this one right here. The social bookmarking site basically covers all the concepts. So you can either follow this one, just completely top to bottom, or do both of these, and you should be in good shape for this current tutorial. So yeah, I'm going to gloss over some of these more basic concepts with that assumed that you already know them. So here we have our project generated. I'm going to CD to the routes directory right away and create a new file called search, a new route called search. And this route right here is going to be responsible for interfacing with the iTunes API to search for podcasts. And the iTunes API is extremely simple. There's no authentication, nothing like that. It's quite nice how easy they made it. So let's go ahead and open up the project and connect the search route to our project right now. So let me make this text a little bit bigger. Okay, so instead of the user's route, let's get rid of that and replace it with the search route and update the path. to connect to that route. Let's open this up. Let's get rid of the user's route because I never use this. But before I do, let's copy and paste. So like I said, I'm moving a little bit faster on this tutorial because it's more about just getting the product up and running. So I'm copying and pasting, which I don't do as much in my more beginner tutorials. So here I'm going to create a basic test confirmation. And let's put a parameter for term. Okay. And let's make sure that returns JSON. All right, looks good. So let's run the server. And let's see if that route was connected. There we go. So that's good to go. So that has our search route ready to go and do some searches. So what we want to do from this route is make an API query to the iTunes API and then return that response to the client right here. And that's going to be how we search for podcasts in our project. So let's go ahead and make that happen. So we're going to use super agent to conduct those requests. So we need to import that. And then right here, we will make a request to the iTunes search API. Okay, excuse me, I had a minor technical difficulty there, so apologize. Okay, so we're back in business. So right now what we want to do is call the super agent functions. So here we pass in the URL, and here's where we pass in the term, the search term. It's going to return JSON. And here is the function callback, which takes an error and a response. And then in there is where we're going to return the results from iTunes. So let's step through this and construct a request. So here we need to run the request through iTunes. Let me find where I did that in my demo, and we'll just reuse that. Okay. So here's the endpoint right here for the iTunes search API. It couldn't be any simpler than that, which is quite nice. And then we want to include two query params. We want to include a media param and hard code that to podcast. We only want podcasts because it's going to return other stuff like albums and songs and artists and things like that. And then we also want to include a term, which is the actual search query, what kind of podcast you're looking up. So let me just make sure I have that right. Yes, okay, sounds good. And this should actually be application JSON. That's the MIME type, so excuse me for that. All right. So then here we want to return the response from iTunes, which I believe comes in the body object as determined by super agent. So let's go ahead and test that. So now we have to search a specific term. So let's say I want to do a search for sports podcasts, and that didn't work. So let's see what happened here. If error. Let's do some basic error handling. So that would be fail, and then the message would be from the error. Let's see if we're getting that. Okay. All right, let's see what we are getting from the service. All right. Whoops, that was a mistake. Okay, so we're getting the service right, so I'm just parsing it out wrong. So let's see what we're doing here. So text. So it was not in the body, it was in the text. So excuse me for that. So now we're seeing it, but this isn't valid JSON. This is stringified text. Do you see this? So what we want to do is convert that into a JSON object. So let's say data equals JSON parse, and the JSON parse takes a string and converts it into a valid JavaScript object. So now we have JSON. Very nice. So you see how the top level is a results key. That's really the payload. That's what we want. So let's parse out the results key like so. And this is what we really want to see. And we should really return the results as results. And these are sports podcasts. So Barstool Sports, Fox Sports Radio, another one from Barstool Sports, Sports Illustrated. So this is giving us what we want. So now we have our search engine for podcasts set up, and this is really just using the iTunes one. Let's see what else we can do. Fashion. Cool. Let's see if we can search specific podcasts. So let's say, let's see, what's a good podcast? The NPR podcast. Oh, I think it's called This American Life. Cool. Okay, so this works. So this is going to be our podcast sort of search engine for us. And then we're going to connect that to the front end such that when the user loads the app, he can type in search query parameter, and then it's going to hit this endpoint and then load these podcasts into our website. So what we want to use obviously is React and Redux to set everything up. So to finish off this video, we want to do all the React Redux imports, and then in the next video we want to start hacking out the front end using React and Redux to render all these podcasts. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So React DOM, Webpack. So again, as you can see, I'm moving a little bit faster, taking a few shortcuts, just getting all the setup going so that we don't have to move at a snail's pace. And then let's get our Babel loaders ready to go. Babel core, Babel loader. Okay, and so now our front end is ready to go to set up for the React project. So stay tuned for that in the next video when I get the basic project set up for React on the front end, and we will then start loading some podcasts and listening to them. So stay tuned.